saw the oil coming out of the exhaust and also the intake. What I'm going to do is pull this turbo off and check to make sure that there's not a vast amount of oil coming out of the exhaust manifold. I want the seal inside the turbo to just be gone because it's easier to just replace this turbo than to break into this engine here and figure out what's causing oil to come out. Okay, here's the exhaust side of the turbo, and it's dry. Okay, here's the exhaust manifold, and it is dry as well. So I am going to rule out that this thing is spitting oil out of here. So that means the turbo seal has gone out. Alright, now I've got this turbo sitting on my workbench here, and I went looking for HT60 turbos online, and right now, man, turbos are just crazy. So when I bought this turbo, I got it for 850 bucks. It's a Borg Warner, it's not a Holset. I've had cheaper turbos on my truck that have blown out and stuff like that, and so I finally went and decided to go with a Borg Warner in I think it was 2019 is when I put this one on the truck, and it's lasted me all the way up until my truck turned over and the seals blew out inside it. So instead of spend upwards of $2 grand on a turbo right now, I went ahead and I purchased an HT60 rebuild kit. So this is from GUI Turbo Repair Kit HT60. Here it is. And I think when I put this thing back together last time, I put some red gasket maker inside of here. I don't know why I did that, honestly. I'm going to find that as I go through this, I did some pretty stupid things. It's not like it was leaking before. I guess maybe I thought having some red gasket maker on here would help seal it better, even though it's just air. I don't know. But hey, you live and learn, and you do this stuff more often, and you kind of learn what to do and what not to do, and that's what I'm doing. All of these parts here, like this compressor housing, this intake tube here, will go over to my parts washer and be washed out. Compressor housing band. Here comes the compressor housing. Just like that. Woo! Look at all that oil. Look at all that oil right there, my goodness. My socket's just a little bit too big to go on that, so I need to go get a wrench. I've got another set of sockets in the truck, the other truck that I'm driving right now, but that truck is not here, it's at the owner's place. So what I'm going to do is get these far out enough to where hopefully I can get my drill on it. Here we go. I've got to take this out so that I can see about getting that band to move over. So now we're going to try to get the exhaust housing off of here. A little bit more. Here we are. Hey! There's the exhaust impeller. It looks good. I don't see anything wrong with it. The 12-point socket size on the exhaust impeller is a 15/16 there. And the intake side can be either an 11/16 or a 17 millimeter. The 11/16 to me feels a little bit loose. A 17 millimeter is just a little bit tighter, so I'm going to go with the 17 millimeter. Now, one major difference between an HX60 and an HT60 turbo is this bolt right here and how it threads on. An HX60 turbo will have a left-handed thread, which means that you would spin the nut to the left to tighten it down and to the right to loosen. But an HT60 has a right-handed thread, which is normal. So right to tighten, left to loosen. There's a compressor wheel. It looks good. Alright, and there's the back side. There's two seals right here. I'm going to change out. I'll get all this cleaned up. Just using a pair of snap ring pliers. Number two, I'm going to take off this bottom snap ring here. And this comes off here. This part here has to come out with what they call mole grips, basically vice grips, and I'm going to try these because this is what I have available. I don't have smooth vice grips. Got that side loose. Let's get this other side going here. I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. Okay. All right, now this part here has several different seals on it, and this kit I believe actually comes with a new one right there with snap ring and all that. So I just went ahead and pushed this out. There's a seal on this part too, right there. There is no seal on this part. These parts here just pull right on out. And these here will be where the bearings are. Right there's a bearing. And then on the other side is another one. Down inside here we've got a couple of snap rings. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave the snap rings that are inside of here there. I don't need to pull them out. They look good. There we go. You had to pull it in and lift it just enough to get it to pop out. Okay, there's the inside bearing on the exhaust side. So now I've got this stripped all the way down to just the housing. There's two snap rings still inside. There's one on this side and one on the other side that I'm not going to take out. So what I'm going to do now is take this over to my parts washer and get it all cleaned up. Get the wheels, compressor wheels, all cleaned up as well. And then I'll start reassembling this thing. I got most of my parts over there drying off at the parts table, or at the parts washer. I only had about 5 or 10 pounds of air coming out of my air compressor while I'm blowing this out, getting all the solvent out. And this is looking pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and reassemble this guy here. We're starting on the exhaust side. Clean everything before I put it in. Get our new snap ring down inside there. Just making sure that snap ring is good and tight down inside its groove bearing. I don't see a new snap ring for the heat shield, so I'm going to reuse the old one. Should be okay. These are the new split ring seals we put on this turbine. Need to go down one more level. The way that I'm doing this to be able to fit my pliers in there is I'm kind of putting this at an angle like that, pushing it down so that it spreads it a little bit, and then I can get my pliers inside there and carefully pull it down. Just like that, just little by little. Okay, there's the second seal. Both seals are on. Now the way that you want to put these seals on is the gap on one seal facing one direction and the gap of the other seal facing the other direction. Supposed to be 180 degrees is what the book says, so those are pretty much perfectly lined up right there. There we go, there's that one. Okay, now we're going to do this next one here. I'm going to turn it over because I know that the gap is on the other side. So I'm going to push until that closes a bit, push in, and then rotate. And now that's in there. Now those seals are seated. We're on to the compressor side. Got this part right here that goes on next, all the way down. Alright, next is a thrust bearing. Now this is a thrust bearing that came out. You've got an open part here and then a notch down here, and this notch has an opening down here as well. You've got a little hole here at the bottom where oil shoots out of, engine oil. So when you put this thrust bearing on, this notch down here at the bottom goes over that hole, like so. Now, this kit comes with a thrust bearing that looks like this. So, either one really. I'm going to try the new thrust bearing. This is the oil seal plate. I've already put some oil on it. Spread that oil around, and then we put the new O-ring on. Like so. And here's the new oil slinger. So we take this ring, split ring, we put it on top of here. Just like that. Put a little oil on it, spread it around, and put it inside here. Next is the oil baffle. And this goes down on top of here. And this thing has to go all the way down until you see the gap where this snap ring can fit inside. So I may have to just get a socket, a long socket or something, put it over top of this and lightly tap it down. This socket fits perfectly. If you want to know, it's a 1 1/4 12-point socket, and I'm just going to lightly tap this in. I want to get my torque wrench and put this socket on there and torque it down to the right specification. Alright, I had to go searching for the service manual to show me what to torque this down to, and evidently it looks like HT60 is 40.7 inch-pounds. So we're going to do 41 inch-pounds. I'm not going to tighten that down all the way right now because I want to get it on the truck and make sure that it's going to be in the right position. I'm making sure that this is pretty well lined up to where it was before. Alright, let's put this turbo on so that we can test it. I'm not going to put this extension on yet. I just want to run the truck for a few minutes anyway to see if this is going to be okay. Alright, I went ahead and put one battery on the truck. I'm going to start it. Dry, completely dry there. You probably can't see that in there, but it's dry. There's no oil. There's nothing here. It's good and dry. Free play is good. Spins good and free. Nothing on the exhaust side either. That stuff there I think is probably just solvent that was caught inside here and it was blown out. So, but there's no oil. So I think that turbo rebuild is done.